Hey people, it's a Saturday morning here in Sheffield. It's about 10 a.m. I'm out delivering on Uber Eats and Deliveroo, just to give the usual sort of context of what the hell you're seeing if you stumbled upon this video by mistake, which is unlikely, but you never know. I'm a middle-aged, financially inept individual working as a delivery driver in a city called Sheffield in the north of England. And I sort of bumble around on my bike, delivering food and supermarket orders and talking a fair amount of guff as well along the way. All right, I got a first order in from a sort of a sandwich shop, not too far from here. It's a £3.50 order going about 2.5 miles. Not a fantastic order. Sometimes you just take the first one of the day just to, get the ball rolling. It's good if it's a good one, and it's okay if it's a shite one, but, sometimes you just want to get started. All right. Now, what are we doing today? Well, obviously I'm delivering. That's one thing I'm doing today, but, in my never-ending quest to somehow make these videos a bit more interesting, I thought I would follow the trend that everyone else is following, showing a complete lack of originality and, doing something with AI. And you're like, well, what the hell can you do with AI with delivering? I'm not asking AI to deliver for me or anything like that. That would be foolish. But, I asked AI. I gave AI some sort of information about my YouTube channel. I said, this is my YouTube channel. Here's a bit more information about it. I said, come up with some interesting topics for me to discuss. So I said, come on, give me 10 topics. Make them as relevant as you think to the sort of type of videos I usually make. And so it came up with 10 topics. I had a look at them, and I'm going to plow through them. Some of them are quite good, some of them not so. But it was kind of curious to see what AI thought of my channel and what would be sort of on-brand topics and themes for me to discuss. So we'll go through them, and we'll see what you think. Some of them are quite good, actually. I think the first one, which I can't say is the most exciting topic to talk about, but, it could be, is sort of worst and best places to wait. And I'll just get to that. Let me just go and pick this up, and then I'll have a little chat about it. Because, it is something I can say a few things about. Let's park up and pick up from this burghers place. All right, my dear. No problem, no rush. All right, my dear, thank you. Wait, when I go through it, there you go. Yeah, my pleasure. See ya. All right, let's get off to this. So yeah, the first topic that AI came up with for me to discuss was sort of good and bad places to wait. I mean, I don't know if there's any, I wouldn't say there's any sort of terrible place to wait. What I do think is that, people tend to have their sort of regular waiting spots. Like all of us, we do, like to fall back into sort of habitual actions. And, essentially I there's a car park in a suburb of Sheffield called Ecclesall, which is essentially my go-to place. Whenever I finish a delivery, if there's no more deliveries, then I'll aim to get back to that particular place. It's in a kind of part of Sheffield which is quite busy. There's lots of cafes and takeaways and supermarkets around there. So it's a good place to hang out. It's free parking, at least for a few hours. I'm never going to be there longer than that, probably 10, 15 minutes at times. And yeah, that's become just the place where I always wait. So I think people have their preferred waiting spots, and often I can recognize different delivery drivers from where they wait. So you sort of walk, be driving down and be like, oh, it's the Sainsbury's delivery guy, and oh, it's the Indian takeaway delivery guy, because that's where they always hang out when they're not actually delivering. So I mean, I clearly haven't got to the point where I've learned their names or been bothered to ask them, but I do know where they hang out. So. But yeah, I'm not sure I've got much more to say about that. But yeah, it is, you do weirdly sort of have sort of your preferred waiting spots. But yeah, let me know if you're a delivery driver. Do you sort of hang out in the same places all the time? Do you have your preferred delivery place? We are creatures of habit after all, aren't we? Ooh, there's a lot of fancy bikes. A lot of Vespas and Lambrettas. There seems to be some sort of day out maybe planned. Gotta say, people on Vespas and Lambrettas, kind of arseholes. Just from experience. They always kind of look at you with disdain. They never say hello and they never acknowledge you. Don't know why. I don't know why. Don't know why they have to be like that. Is that Tom, yeah? All right, buddy. Just give us a sec. Oh. There you go, sir. Thank you. Have a good one. Bye. All right. Next one, I'm going to pick up a package. Always feel something extremely dubious about the whole Uber Eats package delivery. I mean, I'm sure it's all above board. Although I'm assuming that probably at some point there are some weird things being exchanged. Most of the time I think it's just, you left this at my house and I need to give it back to you, and it's easy just to have it delivered. Yeah, I think the last time I dropped off a package, it was clearly someone had just left a coat at someone's house, and it's like, he just stuffed this coat in like a Sainsbury's bag and some dirty old coat that I then delivered to some, it was normally like a student to a student, probably at a party or something, and left something there, and so... Uh-huh. Hi there, I'm outside waiting for your package.
What street are you on? I'll be right there.
I'm on Rockingham Street. You know where the like Lynn's Bakery is, or the bakery downstairs?
Got you. I'll be right there.
Come on. This is taking a while. I'm slightly bemused when people do this kind of thing where they, you know, order something or want something delivered or a package, and then they seem slightly unaware that someone might have come to pick it up. Oh, come on. For God's sake. I mean, unless you're transporting some sort of multi-layered wedding cake that requires delicate transportation down a set of stairs, just come down with it. Goodness me. Oh, here we go. Hi. Is this it? Yeah. Okay. Cheers. Thank you. I think that's it, really. All right. I'll take it now. So, yeah. Similar thing. Looks like some clothing. Someone's either lending to them or they forgot to, you know, take from someone's house. All right, let's get off to this one. It's only 6 minutes, 1.5 miles. All right, well, the next topic that I thought would be suitable for me to discuss on my channel is, you know, a delivery that went wrong. Which, yeah, I suppose is not a bad topic for a food delivery channel. You know, and obviously, you know, deliveries do sometimes go a bit sideways. I mean, most of the time it's to do with spilling stuff, spilling food. Yeah, and certainly at the beginning of my delivery career, I had some absolute shockers in terms of spilling drinks, and it's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing to have to kind of, you know, open your bag and then like hand this sort of dripping mess to the customer. Because in the end, it's kind of on you. Even if it was the restaurant who didn't pack it properly, you know, you're the one who ultimately looks like the fool. So yeah, I remember there was one McDonald's that I just didn't keep the food and the drink separate, and the drink went everywhere, and it was just soaked. And all I could do was apologize and say, like, I'm really sorry, please, you know, try and get your money back from this because it's not acceptable, you know. And it still happens occasionally, and I've had a couple where, you know, curries have gone everywhere in the bag, and like I said, you know, sometimes it's your fault because you don't really pack them or go over too many bumps and stuff. Sometimes it's the restaurant's fault because, you know, you can't open up bags and you know, particularly if it's stapled shut, and do anything about that. So you have to just hope that they've secured lids on things properly, and drinks and curry sauces, etc. But there's no guarantee. So I do think, no, there have been deliveries that have gone sort of annoying and slightly irritating. There have been a few where, you know, customers have asked you to deliver to alternative addresses rather than the one that's on the app, because they've, moved, or they, around their friend's house or something. And sometimes that's okay, but there have been a few times where it's like, yeah, I'll give you a tip, and so you go really out your way to deliver to this place, and then of course they don't give you the tip, and that happened a few times. I would say that the delivery that caused me the most stress was probably the first delivery I ever did, which just went, oh, it was just horrendous. I was just so anxious. I was sweating so much. I'd only really just learned to ride the moped. I'd only passed it's called a CBT about a month earlier, which gives you, the basics to ride a 125. I'd only bought the bike like a week before, and I'd only gone out on it a few times just to get comfortable with it. And then I decided, right, that's it. I'm going to deliver for Uber Eats, and it was just Uber Eats. But I wasn't used to the app. I wasn't used to having a backpack on my back. I wasn't used to sort of handling things with gloves. And so I went to pick up from this. I remember it was a peri-peri chicken place. And I sort of picked it up. That was fine. I got the order. That was fine. Picked it up. That seemed good. And then I accidentally clicked on something in the app, and I thought I'd accidentally, even before I'd got on the bike to take it to the customer, I thought I'd completed the order, and I was like, oh no, what have I done? What have I done? I don't know what I've done. And I went into panic mode, and then I thought, oh God, I've got to phone support. So I sort of got to my bike. Then I dropped the food on the floor. It sort of all tumbled to the floor, and I sort of picked it up, and luckily it was in a bag, but I could see it all sort of come, things are spilling out, the chips were spilling out the bag, and the chicken had gone everywhere, but, at least it hadn't, fallen actually on the floor. Sort of scooped that back up and put it in the thing, and then I was trying to contact support, and I was sweating so much, I remember, because I was in this thick sort of motorbike jacket. It was in October. It's quite warm, but I think I decided I was going to really, wear everything. And then kind of worked out, okay, I don't think I have completed this order. So finally managed to get onto the bike and started delivering it. And then it wasn't an easy place to deliver to. It wasn't like a house. It was a student accommodation that was way back from the road, sort of behind another building. I couldn't find it. I didn't know where to park the bike. Again, sweating again, trying to phone the customer. He was trying to explain to me where he was, and I couldn't really work it out. And, I think eventually I sort of parked my bike in some random place and then just walked for about 5 minutes, just up and down these streets looking for the customer, and finally found him. And I imagine the food was pretty cold by that point and in a pretty shitty state as well. So yeah, I think that was not probably the worst delivery, in that he got the food in reasonable time, but from an anxiety and stress perspective, it was a bloody nightmare. I don't know if other people, their first few deliveries particularly were a little on the stressful side. Mine certainly were. All right, mate. Is it Michael? It's just from. Is it Salam? Thank you, sir. That's it. So yeah, if there are any delivery drivers out there, do let us know what your delivery horror stories are. It's always good to share these things. I mean, I think I've been reasonably lucky. I haven't had anything really, really bad. It's been surprisingly quiet today. Not much, only had a couple of orders. I've already been out about 45 minutes and only made about 7 quid, so 7-8 quid, so not. Oh, here we go, it's something. That's copper pot. Okay, I think I might have to go back round if I'm going to do this one. All right, it's like a £7 order, I think. Not quite sure how far it's going. What's going on here? Let me just park up. Oh, they're adding on another one. Yo sushi. I mean, I could do. For another 3 quid, it's kind of on the way. It is kind of on the way, isn't it? Yeah, all right, we'll do it. We'll do it. We'll go to the Yo Sushi. Hi there, have you got 6535? 6535. 10 minutes. Okay, I'll wait outside and I'll come back in, okay? I mean, for a £10 order, it is worth waiting 10 minutes. Also, Deliveroo are starting to pay for any waiting over 10 minutes, I think. So, you know. So, yeah, I can live with that. Since this is a £10 order, it's worth doing. See how much we get. Cheers, buddy. Have a good one. All right. Let's get off to this. Next order, I've got to pick up a Yosh sushi order at Tesco's. That's about 3 miles away, 15 minutes. And while we're doing that, have a little chat and go down onto the next item on our AI-generated discussion list. And the next one was sort of Sheffield during the day versus Sheffield at night. Not quite sure what they meant by that. I think maybe it's just like, is there a difference between delivering at night and delivering during the daytime? What do I prefer? That kind of thing. I mean, I think generally, I prefer delivering during the daytime just because it's a bit warmer normally. So bloody cold at night. I think even sometimes in sort of spring, summer, it can be quite chilly in the evenings. So just you know, old man comfort and desire to have hot water bottles at all times. I just like having it a little bit warmer during the day. It's a bit easier to see, obviously, where you're going, but also seeing things like house numbers is a lot easier during the day. You know, when you're driving at night and you're going down these dark sort of suburban streets, trying to work out, you know, where number 25 is or whatever is a bloody nightmare. But then sort of driving at night is kind of a bit cooler as well. You kind of feel a bit more like you're in sort of Miami Vice or something. Admittedly, you know, I don't think Miami Vice ever had a slightly portly middle-aged man wearing a Deliveroo jacket trundling about on a moped. But you know, of course, there's also the you know, danger aspect to driving at night. You know, and there's two aspects to that. There's the danger of the roads and you know, the closest I've been to being sort of knocked off my bike by another driver has always been at night. A couple of times people have tried to overtake when, I don't know, they just didn't see very clearly at night and didn't see me on my bike and nearly knocked me over as I was trying to turn left or right. You know, and also, you know, things can be a little bit more unsafe in some of the places you're delivering to as well. You know, times when some kids are like throwing stuff at me, and again, this was all at night. They were just pissing about on the sort of side of the road and having fun throwing snowballs at me, trying to knock me off my bike. It felt like a video game, it's like Mario or something. And there are other times where you're sort of in a place and you're like, shit, this doesn't feel safe, you know. Anywhere where there are teens in balaclavas driving sort of souped up e-bikes never feels particularly safe to me. And there are a few places in Sheffield where you'll see them, you know, because you always get the feeling they're just about to try to, you know, knock you off your bike or steal it from you or take your phone or something. Because they'll often just sort of hair past you and sort of, a lot of the time I think they're just showing off, just trying to show how you know, fast they can go and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, occasionally you do really feel that they're trying to pull a fast one on you. All right, I think the next one is places you've delivered from but haven't eaten from, which, you know, that's a kind of a nice one as well. I quite like that. I mean, one of the great things about this job is that you get to learn about all of the different, you know, cafes, restaurants, takeaways in the city. You get to see them really close up. You get to see how they make the food often, you know, and that can either make them appealing or just not appealing at all. There's a few are like, yeah, I don't think I'd ever order from there, to be honest, seeing, you know, what you do with the food and stuff. But yeah, there are some places that, you know, particularly like chains, which I've delivered from but never ever eaten in or ordered from, like Wagamama. Never ever eaten in a Wagamama's before, or eaten or delivered from Wagamama's. I'm not really into Japanese food. It's just not a thing. I'm not into sushi very much. So yeah, it just doesn't really appeal, Wagamama. But delivered from there loads of times. Wendy's, delivered from Wendy's quite a few times. Never eaten in a Wendy's. Popeyes, never eaten in a Popeyes. All right, let's go and pick up this Yo Sushi from Tesco's. All right, mate, is that 5999? Perfect. Oh, cheers, thank you. Can I take that? Because I might have to scan it again when I get there. Cheers, I'll just pop that in there. Cheers. All right, let's get off to the first of these two customers. It's 14 minutes, just over 3.5 miles. That's a lot of work. Steps, stairs. Anything? Oh, there we go. There we go. Oh man, fucking hell. Jesus. All right, there you go, my dear. Have you got your code? 35. Thank you so much. All right, so I got a couple of miles to the next customer. About 6 minutes. That'll give me enough time, I think, to cover the next question on the list, which is, well, it just says regulars. I think the idea is, do you have sort of regular customers, maybe regular cafes you go to, favourites, stories, that kind of thing. It is, you do get repeat customers. Obviously, if you're delivering in a relatively confined area, you're likely to get people, because there are some people who just order from delivery services all the time, and for a whole variety of reasons, from just sheer laziness, which I don't criticise at all. Been there myself, I think we all have. But social anxiety, sort of can't really leave the house because of young kids or disabilities and things like that. So yeah, there's a couple of people there's one guy, he's got a disability who, I've delivered to, I don't know, 8, 9 times. I always have to go in his house. He always leaves his front door. I mean, it seems incredibly dangerous for him to do this, but he leaves his front door open and just says, "Oh yeah, come in and just leave me the stuff." And the nice thing about regulars, I think often, regulars might order from supermarkets and they might have like cigarettes or alcohol. At least from my perspective, I don't know how Uber Eats and Deliveroo feel about this, but, once I've checked someone's ID once and I know who they are and then I go back in, I'm not going to keep checking it. I'm not going to keep saying, well, you're the same person I spoke to, last week, and I need to see your ID again, which is ridiculous, So that could be quite good. You get some kind of nice little regulars as well. There's one old lady, really quite old. She must be in her early 80s, I reckon, maybe late 70s. Oh, fuck off with road closed. Sorry. Apologise for the swearing, but I'm getting tired of this. I am going down this road, whatever. I am going over pavements or whatever it takes. I am not going on some massive detour for this. Yeah, so this old lady, I think I've delivered to her 3 times. And every time she basically asked me to go and post her sort of, birthday cards for her to her family and stuff. And I'm assuming she does this not just with me, but with other delivery drivers as well. I'm not sure what response she gets from others, but she's very sweet. And it's very difficult to say no. And, there is a post box, not far around the corner, so it's not a massive burden to do it for her. So, it's quite nice. She's also one of these people who, likes a good chat. Again, probably on her own. Maybe her husband died or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, you do have to be careful because you can get caught and you sort of end up, you're there for like 10 minutes, listening to some convoluted story about, her grandson or, when she went to the shops or something, and, you're trying to edge away saying, well, I really got to get on, but, no sense of time or anything from her side. And when I used to, this on the slightly less, upbeat tone, when I used to go out more in the mornings, early mornings, sort of 6 to 8 or 7 to 9 and stuff like that, you used to find yourself delivering things like wine and beer to people. And, sadly, often it was clear that they were, starting drinking at that time. They were, bloodshot eyes and sort of trembling hands and that kind of thing. And so, in the end, they're not drunk, they're not inebriated, they're just alcoholics. And ultimately, it's not my job to judge their lifestyles and their choices, And on the sort of the instructions for Uber Eats and Deliveroo about age-restricted items, it doesn't say, if you suspect this person is an alcoholic, don't give them alcohol. It just says, if they're visibly drunk, don't give them alcohol. And often they're not visibly drunk. They're often quite good at, I think, concealing that as well. So yeah, it was quite sad sometimes to see, you'd be giving a sort of 2 bottles of wine to a woman in the 7 o'clock in the morning. And a surprising number of women who it was normally, which, I wasn't expecting. It's going to be a damn good bacon sarnie if they feel it's got to come this far. All right, buddy, how's it going? 74. There you go, sir. Have a good one. All right, well, that one's done. That brings us up to I was going to use princely as the adjective, but I think princely's, doing a lot of work here when it's the sum of £18, I think, over nearly 2 hours. I think it's been an hour and 45. So it's been a slow Saturday morning. Not an unpleasant one, though. Weather's been okay. It's been quite nice being out. I've been chatting about dumb stuff. Could be worse. And as I'm sort of wending my way back into Sheffield, because I'm out in the middle of bloody nowhere at the moment, as I'm going back into Sheffield, I'll tackle another couple of these AI questions that have been set for me. The next one, which, I have my doubts about, or at least the way that AI decided he wants me to, it wants me to talk about it. It says, talk about my bike as if it was a character. I'm just not. I'm not a car guy, really. I'm not a motorbike guy. I've never, drooled over different types of bikes or cars. I want the most practical and, economical thing I can find. So I'm not sure what I can say too much about this bike. Well, I would say, because obviously this is my second motorbike. I'm very late to motorbiking. I'm not. I only started a few years ago with an electric moped, and really to start doing this job, I had the electric moped for a couple of years and absolutely loved it. I mean, adored it. It was a nippy little thing. It was light. You could park it anywhere. It was kind of quite cool looking as well. Well, there's a few issues with it, which made me ultimately get rid of it and go for a more powerful petrol bike. It struggles up the hills in Sheffield, really struggles up some of the roads. There's a lot of really steep hills in Sheffield, and it cannot get up some of them. And you'd be at full throttle and it's at like 15 miles an hour, and the traffic's backing up behind you. And so that was one thing. It was also limited in the speed. So it's 45 miles an hour. And it meant it was difficult sometimes to go along some of the faster sort of dual carriageways. Again, you'd be sort of holding up traffic and stuff like that. You know, there were some, you know, range issues, and I do suffer a bit of range anxiety when I used to go out, and I always felt I was limited to how long I could stay out. Oh, I got a £6 order from Sainsbury's, but I'm going to have to do a little scooch around this roundabout. And I think the other thing was I did want to use my bike for more than just deliveries. I wanted to be able to, you know, perhaps travel a bit in it, go to some unusual places. And so, you know, you really can't do that on an electric bike. You know, if I wanted to go to a different city, that would have been really tough. And the other thing about this bike is bloody heavy. And, you know, I've dropped it a couple of times. It seems a bit weirdly sort of lopsided in terms of weight, and especially with the top box on. It seems to easily fall over when it's got a bit of weight in the back of the top box. So I have to be really, really careful with it, because dropping this, getting it back up is a nightmare. I mean, I'm not, you know, I'm in my 50s, trying to lift things up, which are quite heavy, a real pain. So, but yeah, but I mean, ultimately, I think I prefer a petrol bike just because of the range and the fact that I've gone to some other places. I've delivered in the Peak District. I've gone down to Chesterfield, Rotherham, Barnsley, places like that. You know, I'd love to be able to go on a bit of a road trip at some point, you know, up to Scotland or something, and use this bike to do that. And that would really be impossible with an electric bike. So, yeah, I'm very, very happy with it. All right, I actually got no idea where this order's going. I mean, I'm out in a little town called Dronfield, just outside Sheffield. That's nice, mate. Slow down. Didn't really look at where the order was going. As often, I don't. It's maybe one of these where I'm going to end up in the middle of, you know, Chesterfield or something, miles away from Sheffield. But that's okay. Embrace it. Embrace the difference. Embrace the adventure. That's what you got to do, especially when you get older. Otherwise, I'm going to be stuck at home watching snooker or something. All right, folks. Let's go to bloody Crowhole, of all places. I don't think I've ever been here. Ooh, this is nice, isn't it? Hey, look at some of these houses. This is fun. I like this. This is very much how the other half live, isn't it? Is that Crowhole? Maybe that's Crowhole. Oh, so I think there's Unstone around it as well. Some cracking names for places. Unstone and Crowhole. I mean, I know it's no wet wang, but, you know. This is nice, isn't it? It's a fancy little pub. Tickled trout. A classic sort of countryside English village. Nice. I think I was expecting something a little bit more sort of gothic with Crowhole. A bit more steampunky, but it's a bit more Miss Marple. A bit more Midsummer Murders. Where are we going? Where are we going? No, I think delivering to one of these multicoloured houses here, I think. Oh, yeah. Oh, someone's really doing up a car here. That's some serious work going on. 7 to 8. Hi there you go, my dear. 75, thank you. All right, well, that one's done. It brings us up to about, I don't know, 25 quid, I think, for, I don't know, 2.25 hours work. So, boy, this is edging sub minimum wage, I have to say. But you know what? I'm not unhappy. It's cool. Look where I am. Fucking Crowhole of all places. I mean, I'm miles outside of Sheffield. I'm about 10 miles outside of Sheffield. So I got a hell of a long ride back, and I doubt I'll be picking up many orders on the way. But you know, it's pleasant enough, isn't it? Well, yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this sort of randomly generated AI topic thing. I thought it actually came out with some quite good ideas. Something better than my own sometimes. And wherever you are in the world, whatever you're doing, whatever time of day, week, month, or year it might be, hope you have a damn fine one. See you later. Bye.